Welcome in, everyone, to another deep dive.
Oh, yeah. It's time.
I'm excited for this one.
Into the heart of Bollywood. You know, I have to say, you guys sent in some really...
Juicy stuff.
Yeah, juicy is the word.
Juicy.
A really interesting mix of articles.
Yeah.
Box office numbers. We've even got some spicy social media threads in here.
Ooh, I love it when we get
Yeah, and it seems
a
like
little heated.
people have a lot of opinions about
Oh, for sure.
what's going on in Bollywood right now.
Yeah, it's a hot topic.
It is.
And what I think is really interesting is it's not even just about the movies themselves, you know?
Right.
Bollywood's kind of journey right now, I think, reflects a much bigger shift that's happening across the whole entertainment landscape.
Absolutely.
Big changes.
Big questions about what's next.
Exactly. And I think some of the sources you sent really highlight this this tension that's going on. Because on one hand, you've got Bollywood breaking box office records.
Right.
I mean, Shah Rukh Khan.
Huge year for him.
Huge year.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, you read these really heartfelt kind of pleas from industry veterans who are saying that Bollywood is losing its creativity.
Losing its soul.
Its soul.
Yeah.
So is it a golden age?
Right.
Or is it a slow decline?
Yeah, it's a fascinating paradox, isn't it?
It is.
And to understand, I think we need to start by looking at how streaming has completely changed how we consume entertainment. Yeah. Like how we even think about it.
Yeah.
The pandemic, obviously, really accelerated it. You know, everybody's stuck at home.
Right.
And services like Amazon MX Player offering just this endless library of content. You know, it became the new normal. Classics, regional films, international movies. Yeah. All dubbed readily available just...
at your fingertips. Yeah. And often for free.
Often for free.
I mean, I remember when Amazon merged mini TV with MX Player. It was like this whole other world opened up.
It's amazing.
It's hard to imagine Bollywood not feeling the pressure from that.
Absolutely.
Their accessibility.
It's a double whammy for them. Yeah. Because it's not just Hollywood.
Right.
You know. Yeah. That they're competing with. Now it's also regional cinema. Yeah. That's having this moment, you know. Right. On these platforms.
Yeah, it's a crowded playing field.
It is.
And then, you know, on top of that, there's this idea that's been coming up in a lot of these articles that you sent about the corporatization of Bollywood. Like there's this feeling that there's a formula for success that a lot of producers are clinging to. Yeah. Sequels, remakes, tons of action, tons of VFX.
It's all about creating these big, splashy blockbusters. Spectacles.
You know. Minimize risk, maximize profit.
Right. From a business perspective, it makes sense.
Of course. The question is, at what cost?
At what cost to creativity?
To creativity, to originality.
To originality.
Like take Jawan and Pathaan, for example. Yeah. I mean, massive hits at the box office. Yeah. But will they be considered classics in 10 years? Right. Probably not.
Yeah, I don't know.
They just feel different from those older Shah Rukh Khan films, like Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, or Salman Khan's, or Aapke Hain Khan.
Aapke Hain Khan, yeah. Those movies had...
There was a heart.
They did. And if you look at the highest grossing Indian films, adjusted for inflation, it's films like Mughal Azam, Sholay, Mother India. These were... They weren't just spectacles. They had compelling stories, memorable characters, this depth of emotion that resonated with audiences across generations.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and those are the qualities that make a film.
Timeless.
Timeless, exactly.
And it's not just us saying this. You've got some pretty pointed comments from, you know, big names in the industry.
Major players.
Yeah. Who are expressing concern.
Right.
You know, Shekhar Kapoor, the director of Mr. India, tweeted a few years back that if directors didn't band together, corporations would end up controlling their creative vision.
Controlling creativity,
And it feels like that warning is becoming a reality.
It does. And he's not alone in that sentiment. Anurag Basu, you know, known for films like Barfi and Jaga Jasus, has talked a lot about how studios often dictate what gets made. Even a director with a unique vision can struggle to get their project greenlit if it doesn't fit into that predefined box of what a Bollywood film should be.
Right. And it's not just the director's feeling, this screenwriter Chirag Garg.
Oh, yeah.
Even compared writing departments to
cricket teams.
Everything's mechanical, focused on hitting the same shots.
Hitting those same shots.
Instead of being driven by passion.
Instead of passion and a love for the craft.
The craft, it's starting to feel like a factory line.
That's a great analogy.
Isn't it?
And actually, Shyam Benegal, a legendary filmmaker, used that same analogy. A factory line, churning out films. Instead of nurturing art.
Right.
You know, it's almost like a mirror image of what's happening in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
With all the criticisms of these big budget, creatively bankrupt, VFX-heavy films, you know. Yeah.
It's interesting you bring up Hollywood because another parallel, I think, emerges when we start talking about money. Because it's easy to assume that Bollywood is swimming in cash, luxury cars and mansions.
Right.
But the reality is much more complex. And I think the sources that you've shared really paint a picture of a system that is grappling with its own set of financial challenges.
Exactly. It's the illusion of wealth.
Yeah.
While some actors are certainly earning huge sums, there's this vast income disparity within the industry. The Ormax Media Report for 2023 was really revealing record-breaking year for the Indian box office.
Wow.
But a staggering 40% of that revenue went to just 1% of the films.
1%.
Released.
So those massive box office numbers
can be deceiving. What does that mean? What does that mean for smaller films?
Right.
For films.
For movies that are trying to tell different stories.
Different stories, exactly.
Yeah.
It means that the competition for funding and screen time is fierce.
Right.
It's much harder for those smaller, more creative projects.
They get the resources that they need.
To get the resources they need to thrive. And then when they do get made, they face an uphill battle to find an audience.
Especially with the price.
Especially movie tickets these days.
With the price of movie tickets.
It feels like a luxury experience.
It does, doesn't it?
Not a regular activity like it used to be.
Like it used to be.
Yeah.
And it's not just that. Smaller films are struggling to reach an audience. We've seen a string of big budget flops recently as well.
Yeah.
Adipurush.
Gone
a Path. Even Bade Mayan choked me in.
Wow.
Which seemed to be following that formula to a T.
Yeah.
But it didn't connect.
Still didn't connect.
With viewers, it raises the question, is the formula even working anymore?
Is it even working anymore?
And then there's the issue of inflated superstar fees.
Yeah.
One article mentioned Akshay Kumar being paid a whopping $600 million.
For one film.
For a single film. That's 60% of the average Bollywood film's budget.
Of the budget.
Where does that leave?
Where does that leave the money for everything else?
For the story, the direction, the writing.
The things that actually make a film. The things that make a film memorable. It's a vicious cycle.
It is.
Studios are willing to pay these astronomical fees.
Hoping for that.
Hoping for
$5 billion return.
$5 billion.
Yeah.
But if the film flops, everyone loses. And this trend of sky-high fees.
It's not limited to Bollywood.
It's happening.
We're seeing it.
In South Indian cinema as well.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like the industry is prioritizing
individual gain
over the health of the industry as a whole.
Right. And that's a concern echoed by a lot of these industry analysts.
Great analysts.
Yeah.
Komal Natta was particularly vocal about this, saying that no one seems to care about the long-term sustainability of the industry, about their own individual profits.
So we've got this combination of factors working against creativity and innovation. This rise of OTT platforms that are changing viewing habits, the pressure to churn out formulaic blockbusters. And a financial system that is struggling to support smaller, more meaningful film.
Yeah.
It paints a pretty bleak picture.
It does.
But amidst all of this doom and gloom, there are
glimmers of hope.
Glimmers of hope emerging from the sources that you shared.
Absolutely. It seems like even within this challenging landscape, there's this growing movement pushing for a different kind of Bollywood.
Okay.
One that embraces its rich storytelling heritage.
Right.
Its heart.
Its soul.
Its soul.
And we'll explore those signs of hope.
Signs of hope.
In part 2.
In part 2 of our deep dive.
Yeah.
Of our deep dive. So we've talked about these challenges facing Bollywood, this feeling that it's losing its soul in pursuit of box office glory. But amidst all that, there are some really inspiring stories coming out of the industry. You know, examples of films that are breaking the mold and proving that meaningful cinema can still find an audience.
That's right. And it's not just about individual films succeeding either.
Right.
There's a broader conversation happening about, you know, what Bollywood could be, what it should be. And
what it should be.
Yeah. You've sent over some really fascinating sources that offer these different perspectives on how to move forward.
I was really struck by the success of films like 12th Fail.
Oh, yeah.
And La Pata Ladies. You know, they prove that smaller budget, content-driven films can still resonate with audiences.
They can.
12th Fail, particularly, it stayed in theaters for 25 weeks.
Wow.
That's incredible in today's market.
That is incredible.
You know, 12th Fail really tapped into the power of
word of mouth.
Word of mouth marketing.
Yeah.
You know, people loved it, told their friends, and that just...
That organic
buzz just kept it going.
And they kept it going strong.
Imagine that happening for a film.
I know.
That doesn't rely on massive star power or a $3 billion marketing campaign.
Right. And La Pata Ladies, produced by Amir Khan, is another great example. It had that classic Bollywood charm, but with a fresh perspective. And it outsold films.
Wow.
With 40 times its budget.
On Netflix. Clearly, there's a desire for this kind of cinema.
There is.
There is. And it's not even just about box office numbers or streaming views. It's about the kind of impact these films have. Javed Akhtar, the legendary screenwriter, made a really insightful observation about this. He was talking about the angry young man persona that was so popular in the 80s. Particularly in Amitabh Bachchan's films. He said that back then, the anger had a depth to it, a wound that fueled it. It was rooted in the socio-political...
The realities of the time.
But somewhere along the way...
We lost the wound and kept the anger.
We lost the wound and we kept the anger.
Surface, no substance.
Exactly. And that's what Akhtar argues is missing from a lot of contemporary Bollywood films. The anger, the action, the drama. It often feels hollow, lacking that deeper connection to the real world.
So how do we get that depth back?
Right.
How do we create films that have both soul and substance?
That's the challenge, isn't it?
It is.
And I think a big part of the answer lies in nurturing a new generation of filmmakers who are
willing to take risks. To tell stories that challenge conventions. To explore different genres and formats. But they need the support to do so.
And that support needs to come from both within the industry and from the audience.
Absolutely. It's a two-way street. The industry needs to create an environment where these filmmakers can thrive. And audiences need to be open to seeking out and supporting these films. But there are
systemic changes needed as well.
Like what?
Like, what are some of the structural changes that could help?
What are some of the structural...
One idea that came up repeatedly in the sources you sent is the need for a more sustainable ecosystem for smaller budget films.
Smaller budget films,
So this means providing support throughout the entire process.
The whole...
From development and production to distribution and marketing.
So if filmmakers don't have to worry about recouping massive production costs, they're freer to experiment.
They're freer to tell more personal...
Or nuanced stories.
Nuanced stories. It takes the pressure off.
It takes the pressure off.
Exactly. And this isn't even just about altruism. It's about good business.
Yeah.
Siddharth Roy Kapoor, the founder of Roy Kapoor Films, argued that a healthy film industry needs a diverse range of films to thrive.
Right.
We can't just rely on a handful of blockbusters every year.
It's like diversifying your investment portfolio.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
You need a mix of high-risk, high-reward ventures and more stable investments.
Right.
That's how you ensure long-term growth.
Yeah.
And sustainability.
Sustainability.
Precisely. And there are financial incentives for the industry as well. You know, we've seen how smaller, well-made films, like La Pata Ladies, can outperform big budget releases on streaming platforms.
Yeah.
There's a market for this kind of cinema.
There is.
And it's a market worth investing in.
But it's not just about money.
Right.
It seems like there's a deeper systemic issue at play.
It does.
This obsession with the hit film formula.
Right.
This reliance on big names and spectacle over substance. It feels like it's stifling creativity.
It does, and that shift needs to happen at every level of the industry.
At every level.
From the studios who greenlight projects to the creative teams developing those projects.
Yeah.
We need to see more experienced voices.
Right.
People who understand the nuances of storytelling.
The nuances of storytelling.
People like Javed Akhtar. Who can mentor and guide younger filmmakers.
Instead of those MBAs who are just focused on algorithms, these market trends.
Right. It's like trying to create art by following a spreadsheet.
By following a spreadsheet,
And unfortunately, that's what we're seeing.
It does feel that way.
In many cases, films that feel calculated.
Predictable,
lacking that spark of originality and soul.
But there are people out there fighting against this tide.
Right.
You've included some
absolutely.
really powerful stories.
Absolutely. Take Dibakar Banerjee.
Yeah, Dibakar Banerjee.
The director of films like
Koslaka
Goes Land or Lucky Oi.
Yeah.
He's been very vocal about the challenges faced by independent filmmakers in today's Bollywood.
Yeah.
You know, he talked about how difficult it was to get his film, LSD Love, Sex or Doka, released because a big budget flop had already booked all the screens.
Wow.
Talk about a system. Rigged against originality.
Yeah, rigged against originality. But did he say anything else?
Yeah, he mentioned that independent cinema is being systematically sidelined.
Oh, okay.
Almost forced to go straight to
streaming
platforms. Right.
And even there, it's a catch-22.
A catch-22.
You know, OTT platforms want to see box office success before acquiring a film.
Yeah.
But how can these smaller films succeed if they don't get a fair shot at a theatrical release?
It's a vicious cycle.
It is.
So where do we go from here?
Right.
What are the next steps?
Yeah.
What can be done?
What can be done?
To foster a more inclusive
and creative Bollywood.
Are there any examples?
Yeah. Are there examples that we can look to for inspiration?
There are. We'll delve into those inspiring examples.
Okay.
And explore some potential solutions in part 3 of our deep dive.
You know, we've talked about the challenges, the triumphs, the financial realities, the systemic issues, but there's one question that keeps coming back to me as I'm going through these sources you sent.
Yeah.
What exactly does it mean?
Right.
When people say that Bollywood is losing its soul?
Yeah.
It's such an evocative phrase.
It is.
What does it really?
Yeah, what does it really get at?
Get
It is a powerful phrase, isn't it?
It is.
And I think it speaks to a longing for something that feels authentic. Something that captures the essence of what makes Indian cinema so unique.
So it's not just about making money.
It's not just about
chasing trends. Right.
It's about telling stories.
It's about telling stories that are rooted in Indian culture and experience. Stories that resonate with audiences.
On a deeper level.
Yeah. It's about those small moments that ring true.
Yeah.
The details.
The details that make you feel.
Yeah, make you feel seen. And understood.
Yeah. And that authenticity can come through in so many ways.
Right.
You know the dialogues.
The
way characters interact.
Yeah,
the portrayal of family dynamics.
Yeah. The humor. You know, it's those little things that make a film feel.
That make it feel real.
Relatable.
And ultimately memorable.
Exactly. And one element, I think that plays a huge role in creating that sense of soul.
I agree.
Is the music.
The music Bollywood music has always been
Bollywood music.
Legendary.
It's a legendary.
You know those iconic melodies?
Right.
The lyrics that stay with you long after the film is over?
Yeah.
The elaborate dance sequences?
The dance sequences?
They're all part of the magic.
They're part of the magic. Think about films like Dilwal Dulhania Le Jayenge or Sholay. The music is practically a character in those films.
It elevates the storytelling.
It does.
It intensifies the emotions.
It creates a truly immersive experience.
Absolutely. And that's what feels missing.
It does from a lot of these modern...
A lot of modern Bollywood films?
Bollywood films, yeah.
The music often feels...
Generic. Forgettable. Like
it's just there to... Tick a box. It's lost that sense of heart, that connection to the soul of the story.
It's like they're trying to manufacture a hit song instead of letting the music emerge.
Instead of letting it emerge organically from the story. It's a great way to put it.
And this lack of soul isn't limited to the music. Remember Javed Akhtar's point? About the angry young man persona?
Yeah, he was saying that it used to have depth, a reason behind a rage.
Yeah.
It was connected to the socio-political reality of the time.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the way, we lost
that connection.
And now it's just
empty posturing.
All
style, no substance.
All style and no substance.
We need characters we can believe in.
Right.
Characters whose struggles and triumphs feel
real.
Relatable.
And ultimately human.
And that requires
strong writing. It demands screenwriters who can craft characters that leap off the page. Who can create worlds that feel both familiar and surprising.
But as we've discussed,
there's this pressure in Bollywood to prioritize star power and spectacle over those crucial elements of storytelling.
It's like they're focusing on the packaging instead of the product inside.
It is a bit like that.
And I think that's why a lot of these big budget films, while visually impressive, ultimately leave audiences feeling empty.
They lack that.
They lack that spark.
A spark of light.
That connection to something.
Deeper.
So is there a way back?
Right.
Can Bollywood rediscover its soul?
That's the question. Can it balance the need for commercial success with the desire to tell stories that matter?
I believe it can.
I think so too.
But it requires a conscious effort. A willingness to
challenge
status quo
and
embrace
new ways of thinking.
It
requires a commitment to nurturing talent, to supporting filmmakers who are pushing boundaries
and exploring new narratives. And it requires us,
the audience, to be more discerning,
about
what we watch. To seek out films that speak to our hearts. To support filmmakers who are taking risks.
Who are taking risks and to make our voices heard.
Absolutely. The future of Bollywood is a story that's still being written.
That's a great way to put it.
And we all have a role to play.
In shaping
that narrative. We need to demand more from our films to support those who are creating meaningful cinema. And to never stop searching for that spark of soul.
That makes Indian cinema so captivating. Beautifully said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the soul of Bollywood, we want to leave you with this thought. The future of this beloved industry is in our hands.
It is.
The choices we make as viewers, as supporters.
As storytellers. They all have an impact.
They all do.
Let's choose wisely. Let's choose with our hearts.
And let's help Bollywood rediscover its magic.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.